Good morning. Welcome to the September council meeting. I'm ahead of myself, I guess. It is now 9:30, so we're ready to begin our meeting. We will start with the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the August meeting? Thank you, Diane. Do I have a second? Thank you. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's carried. Our first report then is from the treasurer, who is back with us now.
There has been absolutely no change in our financial situation, no deposits, no withdrawals, so we still stand at $1,256.47.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council on the finances? Okay. They don't change much over the year. I don't see anyone from administration here yet, so we will start with our committee reports, and then we'll have, when one of them shows up, we will stop and let them report. We will start then with accounting. Larry, are you there? There you are. You're here. Good. Welcome. We haven't heard from Larry a lot. They don't meet as often as some of the other committees.
Well, we do meet fairly often. We just don't talk about it. Am I on? No, it's not that it's secret. It's just that the last time I was here, a lot of people said they didn't understand a word I said. So we are meeting in the background to keep to ride herd on things so that we know where we are. We've actually had a very excellent year, folks. Pardon me while I read. The Finance Committee met on Wednesday afternoon to review the village operating statements as of August 31st, 2019. I'm happy to report that revenues from monthly fees exceeded the budget by about 5% or $1.3 million.
That's good.
This is due to higher than expected occupancy and independent living. The private pay and Medicare revenue in the healthcare center also exceeded budget. Our operating expenses were essentially on budget, and the unrealized gain on investments, that's the stocks the stocks and bonds in our portfolio, investment portfolio, were up by $1.7 million this year. As a result, the net operating income is our best in many, many years. Current independent living occupancy is at 95% with 97% sold, and there were some people who said we would never get anywhere near that, even a year ago. There are currently 48 future residents on the wait list to move in as soon as units become available. And I think they all have deposits down of about $10,000 each.
Wow.
Also, in addition to that, 30 of the 40 units in the new apartment building to be built at the north end of the campus are now sold.
Wow.
So that's absolutely fantastic. Entry fees on the new apartments will range from about $250,000 to $550,000. Current entry fees on cottages run from about $190 to $325. So I think most of us can feel we got a pretty good deal. We got here when we did. It proves the sooner you get here, the better off you are. Administration is in the process of finalizing the 2020 budget, and the Finance Committee will be reviewing the new budget before it is sent to the board for approval. In spite of excellent financial results this year, there will be an increase in fees for 2020. About 2/3 of the village expenses are employee wages and benefits, and we will see some impact from changes in the minimum wage that will take effect next year. As most of you probably know, there was, for this year, about a 10% increase in the, or probably a 9% increase in the minimum wage from over 2018 to 2019. Then there'll be another $1 increase to $12. That's another 9% this year. And we don't have a lot of people under the minimum wage here that have to be brought up. But there are some, and when you do that, it becomes necessary to adjust all of the other wage scales. It's hard to explain to somebody why somebody got, the newest people got a 9% increase and I didn't get any. I don't think any of us would feel very good about that. Just as a parting comment here, there was a little bit of levity in the Finance Committee meeting when we found out about the disposition of our old lobby furniture. I know it's been a subject of, the new lobby has been a subject of some controversy, and I must say I was among those who was a bit shocked when I got back to see the new carpet especially. Anyway, it turns out that our old lobby furniture was donated to a similar facility, a similar facility for an old age asylum like ours, who was not as fortunate financially, and their lobby furniture was getting pretty shabby. So they now have a wonderful new lobby thanks to our new lobby. But the interesting thing was that there were a lot of residents there who said, we didn't really need a new lobby. The old one looked just great. Thank you.
Larry, don't go away. We may have questions. Are there any questions from the
Any
council?
questions? Good, that's the way I like it.
Are there any questions from the audience, from the residents? I guess you can sit down. There aren't any. Thank you, Larry. And Emily is here now, so we'll let her do her report now.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. All right, so Larry took a lot of the good thunder to share, so thanks for that. That's good. Oh, you're fine. I'm totally teasing. No, not at all. Go for it. It's all good news, so that's a positive thing. So this month so far, we have 8 sales. We are running low on things to sell, but as Larry alluded, yeah, they are all for the new build. So we're closing in on about 30 out of the 40 sold, which we're pretty excited about. That's ahead of the projections that we had as far as our sales goals. So that's going really well. One component of that is, as we're looking at that new construction, is the parking situation, because as we know, a lot of the space is currently parking spots. So we're working really hard to come up with a plan both for employees and for residents to make sure that everyone is accommodated. But about as far as we are so far is that we will be having all employees parking at the church going forward, like once construction starts, because of the loss of parking spots. So that'll really open up a lot of opportunity for us for anyone who will no longer have a spot that was formally covered right there. So just know we're doing lots and lots of planning and meetings on that, and going to make sure everyone gets what they need, including some exercise for all of us coming over from the church. A reminder that tomorrow is our annual Alzheimer's Barbecue fundraiser. It runs from 11 to 2, and Mary did ask that I mention that the wise among us will come about 12:30, because we're expecting a very big influx of people early on, like we typically do. So she said to remind everyone there will be plenty of food, but if you don't want to wait in a line, 12:30 is your time. We are, as Larry mentioned, also rounding up the budget. We're between the bond financing, getting that ready for the construction, and the budget. It's been a very busy time. I suppose if they're going to give us millions upon millions, they want to know a few things, so that took a lot of time. But we're hopeful we'll have that out, and we'll plan on doing the budget presentation at the November Village meeting as usual. And I think that's what we're up to for now. That's probably enough.
Thank you, Emily. Are there any questions from the council? Are there any questions from our residents?
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. You're beside me.
This is my every month question. Where are we on the Village Community Garden?
Yes, so we actually have good news on that front. I believe last week, maybe the week before, the city brought over the formal lease that had been approved by the council for Cole to sign, and they signed, and so I believe we are almost completely through the red tape of the city as far as having the signed lease, which was what we were waiting for to then look for our next steps. So that is done, and I think we'll be ready to start that committee back up whenever and see what we're gonna do.
What is the next step then?
I would say to start planning out the construction. Yeah, and I think Ryan Company is interested in, once they're starting to do the construction here, that they feel that there would be some efficiencies in having a lot of that on site and then coming over to the garden as well. So I think those two may go hand in hand, which is quickly approaching, so.
Are there any other questions
Thank you.
from the audience, our residents out there? Thank you, Emily.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Unlike other meetings that we've had in the last 2 or 3 months, this one will not be short. We have a lot of committees reporting, but they have lots of important information for you. So we will continue. And next is our Activities Committee, and Grace is the chairman. Thank you, Grace.
Thursday evening at the rec center, wine and painting party went well. There were 27 people that attended, and everyone liked the instructor. Residents had trouble with the sound on the September podcast, and that is being addressed. The pancake breakfast is October 1st at the rec center from 8 to 8:45 a.m. And the committee received a request for more entertainment for the hearing impaired. So on October 8th, the entertainment in the Skirm Auditorium will be a juggler. And Connie is looking into other entertainment that might be available. Shortly, the concert greeters will be wearing greeter tags, so residents will know why they are standing at the door or helping with the walkers. And we want the tram drivers to be aware that a call is made during the last number of the concert for a tram. And we are often told that no tram is available, or only one tram is available, or there is an emergency. So please be patient. The October Thursday evening at the rec center will be the Halloween party on October 31st. The theme is Haunted Hollywood. Doors open at 6 p.m. Costume contest is at 6:30, and food and music at 7. And there will be no November or December Thursday evening at the rec center. And Friday, October 4th at 1 p.m. is the next podcast. Jenna from the Tetra Strings will be interviewed. And the Tetra Strings will be in Skirm Auditorium on October 25th at 7 p.m. And if you read this week's Villager, you can get more details about all these events that I have mentioned. And the Activities Committee made some changes to their page in the procedure manual.
Thank you. Grace, are there any questions from the council? Sounds like you're busy down there too. Are there any questions from our residents out there? Thank you, Grace. Oh, we have one? Got to get your hand up quick or I won't see it.
Can we assume that the council approves the proposed change to the procedures manual? Is the council going to vote on it?
Does the council need to vote on it, Marty? They do? Okay.
I think it's behind you.
don't think I have a copy of
Yes,
that
you have
in
a
front of
copy.
me.
You do.
Oh, I do.
It's
I
on the,
do.
it's
I
on
do
the,
have.
All the council members have a
Yeah,
copy.
And the council members have a copy. It's on a sheet marked Activities Committee, and it's down under, the whole page is what they propose. Are these all changes, or are just some of these the same things you've already had?
some of them are the same, but some of it, there are some changes
There
in
have
it.
been some changes. And I guess the changes
I
have been
think
highlighted.
I'm looking at what's on the screen, and the changes are kind of the yellow things that
Highlighted. Mhm.
highlight.
Okay, have you had a chance to read that over? They changed some of the wording, some of it, instead of comprised, it's composed, and updating activities, and the program guide booklet is not a necessary word, so they've taken that out. And they've changed verbal to oral, and they'd like to say that the assistant they assist the director of activities with volunteering at events as necessary, and they no longer help update the village center activity bulletin board. That's something that she does, that Connie does.
There's no longer a bulletin board.
Yeah, yeah. So, I need someone to ask for the motion. Bob,
I move that these proposed changes be accepted.
thank you. Is there a second to the motion? Thank you, Doris. Is there any discussion of this proposal? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion is carried. Thank you, Jay. You haven't, was that what you, that's what you wanted? Good. Thank you. Thank you, Grace. Kathy, you are here. I couldn't see you, but you are. This is appearance, buildings, grounds, and pool.
Yes, good morning. We met September 11th and welcomed 2 new members. One was Matt Roeder, the Environmental Services Director, and Maria McMillan, a resident. And we also acknowledged Barbara Richards' 5 years of service to the committee. Richard Cullett told us from grounds that the summer heat has taken a toll on many of the plants, which we could see. Turf in the village is going to be sprayed, or it was probably last week sprayed for nut grass. And a committee member asked about replanting those decorative pots along by the where you first come in, right by that dog park path, and they're working on that as well. Matt also gave us, these are some of the other highlights of his report. He's been meeting with residents that border the canal to discuss changes to their backyard when the new security fence goes in. That fence should begin, work on that should start about October 7th. It will go from the south end to the north, and it should take about a month. Matt has been working 4-hour shifts with the various departments that he supervises. And members of the security team are being cross-trained so that if there is some type of a maintenance need during the weekend that they might be able to handle, they will be able to do that. And let's see. He also told us that the punch list for the lobby is supposed to be done next month. Let's see. One of the things that Matt talked to us about was a question that had come up previously. And we were all very glad to hear that they have identified money in the budget for addressing the painting and stucco on the cottages. So there will become a regular cycle of painting. So every 3 to 5 years, everything gets painted so that it will just be a continuous cycle. So that is going into the phasing. We'll start out with those areas that are in the worst condition, and then move on to those that are least, this was something we had asked about before, and been told it happened when somebody new moved into a cottage, and now it'll be on a regular basis for all of us. There were two items for new business. One was a request that the wood shop refurbish the veterans box, and then we asked that the village do the painting once the wood shop guys had been able to refurbish it. And they have quite an extensive list of things to do, so it may be a while. And the second request was that misters be installed on the bridge at the healthcare center. That will not be happening because of the terrazzo and the slip, danger of slipping and falling. But rather, the alternative was to place cameras at the entrance and exit both ends, and monitor inside so you could see when a tram was coming if you were, inside the health
So,
center.
so you wouldn't have to wait outside, is that what that?
Correct,
The idea
yeah.
there? Okay,
And that's it.
okay. Are there any questions for Kathy?
Yes,
Bob?
Bob?
Do you happen to have,
It's not live, you have to push the button.
is this working?
Yes.
Push it.
I'll get close to it.
Do you happen to have on your committee anyone who is able to make a complete circuit of the outside of the village from time to time, like say 3 or 4 times a year, to look at the situation there and to identify anything that is a safety or security or appearance item that needs attention?
I want to be sure I understand. You mean not from our vantage point looking out, but somebody from the outside? Is that what you're saying? Or you want to look at the walls surrounding it, or?
A long
the
time
village?
ago, when I was on the security committee, about every 3 or 4 times a year, I did a complete circuit of the outside of the village to see if there were any security items, maintenance items, or other things that needed to be corrected.
Well, number one, maybe Safety and Security Committee is doing that. I don't know. The other thing is I can ask Matt at our next meeting when they routinely go around and check.
That probably would come under safety and security too, as
Okay.
well as under your.
I can check
We
with
have
Matt.
another question.
This may be under safety and security, but are we doing anything, any mitigation for the equine, eastern equine encephalitis virus? I see things on the news about trucks spraying neighborhoods. Are we doing anything here? Is that in your committee, or is that safety and security?
Well, we could both point at each other, I suppose, and say it's the other one. I haven't heard anything about it, but I'll ask what, if anything's going on with that. I know we saw for the West Nile, the little video with the larva, if you remember that one. But I'll ask if there's anything above and beyond what they're doing for mosquito abatement for the Triple E.
Thank you.
Okay?
Are there any other questions from our residents out there? Okay, thank you, Kathy.
You bet.
Next up is Ed, I believe, with communications.
I think I heard a while back that we should identify ourselves more fully. I'm Ed Kearns.
Oh, I'm sorry, I guess I figured everybody know you were
Well,
Kearns.
People on the television might not know that. Paul was asked about telecoil reception in the skirm. He's found that there are some dead zones there where the reception is bad. He was asked to assemble a map to advise folks. Travis was asked about closed captions in the skirm. There was a problem September 12th. He thinks it was due to individual devices dropping out, for example, having a bad connection. He'll work on setting up a different kind of connection so that doesn't happen. He doesn't know how many users there are now. He will ask Ava, who provides the software for this. I asked about the Information Technology Help Desk, which has not been functioning well because of the absence of a person to be in charge. Bob Auer agreed to try to do this work. Travis will write up a reminder of this service for the villager and will add a slide to channel 1960. Travis was asked about progress with installing fiber internet access, which is proceeding to higher numbered cottages. About 25 village Wi-Fi subscribers are connected now in an area that has had village Wi-Fi difficulty. About 40 cottages now have capability for fiber connection. Travis said we now have at least 306 subscribers to village Wi-Fi, and this is providing significant income to the village now. They're planning on a faster service than gold, might be platinum or whatever. Paul was asked about missing videos on resident apps, notably for resident council meetings. He found that the videos are online but inaccessible to residents because of the way they're stored. They should be available by September 16. He is setting up a way to make them available. He is also planning to archive older videos so that no more than 2 years will be available in resident apps, but older ones can be seen by contacting IT department. Travis was asked if the active shooter protocol announced recently will involve emergency messages to staff and residents via the Everbridge system that sends messages by phone, email, or text as selected with the recipient. I asked committee members to consider whether they would be willing to serve as chairman next year, as he'll be leaving for term limits.
Thank you, Ed. Are there any questions? Are there any questions from out there? Thank you, Ed. Our next report is from Constitution, Bylaws, and Procedures, Marty Whalen.
Yes, ma'am, I'm the culprit, Whalen. By the way, I have nothing much of a report. What I want to explain to you folks is that in your packet, you'll find a written report from the committee, which is an urging or a suggestion that we get rid of Robert's Rules of Order.
I don't think we can.
And for the reasons set forth in there.
You need to talk into the microphone. I don't think they
I'm
can
sorry,
hear you.
for the reasons set forth in the memo, which is backed up by commentaries from, I think, 4 institutions, such as GuideStar or the national law firm of Quarles and Brady, all explaining why it is not necessary to have Robert's rules in your organizational structure. And pointing out that, well, it's just plain logic that if you're going to have rules, you have to live by them. And living by Robert's rules is not something this council is prepared to do, I don't believe. Robert's rules has approximately 300 pages discussing simply the order of motions and which motion supersedes another motion, which is a dilatory motion, which is a whatever. It's all in the packet, and I'm asking you folks to take a look at that and debate it amongst yourselves. I don't want to ramrod anything. I'd like to see action on this at the next meeting. So that'll give you a month to talk to your constituents about it.
So you need to be looking this over so that you're aware of what they're going to be, what
That's
motion
correct.
they're going to put
The
forward.
packet does include a set of rules that we would use for the council, which is very simple direction to
Yeah.
the chairman is running the meeting, and that's where the strength is.
Are there any questions? Bob?
First of all, I agree with you entirely that Robert's Rules is overboard for this organization. I do have some questions, though, on your proposed rules of order. Your rules of order say that the chair shall approve the agenda and determine all questions of procedure. What if a member of the council has an objection to a ruling of the chair? That's my first question.
Okay, the answer is it goes to a vote.
And the next observation is it says that actions receiving an affirmative vote of a majority of the quorum. Currently, the bylaws say that a quorum is 50% of the members. So a majority of the quorum is only 25% of the council. I'm not sure that we really want actions of the council decided by only 25% of the council members. Seems to me a higher standard is needed for that. And in your list of items for the order of business, there's an item labeled action items. I'm not sure what that covers. So I would request clarification on that.
Yeah, those are the routine approvals, such as the minutes, the treasurer's report, and the like, that do require action of the council with the routine matters.
Are there any other questions?
I have one.
You have one, Sandy?
Marty, do you want me to put this document on the resident apps so that all of the residents can look at it before it's approved?
Sure, that'd be fine with me.
Okay, that'll go up on resident
I'd
apps.
rather have, more input than
Right.
that. I don't want to feel that I'm ramrodding something here.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
And we will bring this up at the council meeting in October, is that
And
correct?
to the council members, anybody that has any questions in the interim, I'm extension 3407. Please feel free to give me a ring.
Yeah. Don't hesitate to call Marty for an interpretation or a question that you may have. Thank you. We're going about this alphabetically, so our next one is the dining committee, and Diane Whalen is going to report for Paul, because he's out of town. You'll need to pull the microphone down, Diane, when you get there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Diane Whalen. After many dinners with the other Whalens, we found out we were not related.
Yeah, speak right into the microphone. Thank you.
Okay, the dining committee convened on 9/19/19 at 12:45 to review comment cards submitted by the residents. The committee discussed the comment cards that have been received during the previous month. Members of the staff joined the committee at 1 o'clock, and the discussion continued. Brian introduced Craig Russell, a Morrison executive chef, who's been assisting with the dining staff during the transition of the hiring of Travis, chief executive chef. We have had complaints about unripe melon in the fruit cups. Randy Kidd will look into whether we can get riper fruit delivered, possibly at a little higher cost. It is also suggested that we offer a variety of smaller fruit cups with berries and watermelons, etc. A request was made for making frozen yogurt available. Jess Pardes will check on this and get back to us. A full count system rolled out on Monday, September 16th, and I think you're all aware of that. There were problems being worked on. One was the bingo money, and it's currently being added to the dining dollars amount. And some of the key tags were not being read properly, and new ones may have to be issued. Brian's working on the software vendor with these issues in mind. Brian Banks is looking into the possibility of issuing reloadable gift cards for the bingo dollars. If that happens, the details will be explained. A comment was made concerning the packaged dinners, where 2 starches were offered in the same meal. For example, spaghetti and mashed potatoes and gravy, all in the same meal. Randy Kidd he's the cafe sous chef, will be making the necessary changes. Comments from Jess Pardes. Jess thanked all the residents for their patience while staffing is adjusting to the new system and the problems are being worked through. Vendor told us our new shelving in the pantry did not send pricing tags, so we are awaiting their arrival. Meanwhile, she has posted a price sheet at the end of each of the shelving, so you can check out the prices that way. She will also work out displaying pricing for the See's candy. Comments from Tedrick Woods. Haagen-Dazs, our supplier for ice cream at the Fireside, has discontinued flavors without notifying us. We will soon offer a new variety of flavors. We have lost a server, Eric, who was transferred to the IT department. This all was submitted by Paul McCohen, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Diane? Bob?
At the last dining seminar presented, I made a request to occasionally have real pizza, not just the flatbread stuff. Not that I want to replace all flatbread with pizza, but to have a real pizza occasionally. Did your committee take that up?
I remember you saying that, yes. As far as I know, Brian is still trying to get into it and find out suppliers and pricing and everything like that. As soon as we have it, we'll get it to you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions from the council? Ed from the,
It looks like you're having a lot of problems with the barcode readers. I think you ought to think about getting different ones because they don't seem to be reading as well as the last ones. It's a little annoying that I have to hold up my tag when the server could do that very simply and pick up anything. This is a lot harder for them to do their work.
Again, it's a new system, and they have brought that up, and they are trying to work on it. So, like Jess said, please bear with them while they're working through all this.
I don't think it's going to work with that barcode reader.
Well, supposedly, if the tags that we're giving them troubles will be replaced. I'm not sure.
When?
nobody knows.
I'm not sure.
Are there any other questions that Diane can answer? Thank you, Diane.
Oh, there's one more.
We do have another one back there, Bob.
Please explain about the bingo dollars and all.
They are still working on that. It's taking a while. Keep in mind, there are like 900 and some people here.
Okay, right now, then, if my period comes up, I have to spend the whole money, or it's gone.
No, if you are concerned, please bring it up to Brian. He's willing to work with any and everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Diane. Tough times. And Jay is next. He is our chairman of our elections committee, which is elections time.
Just basically, the elections are coming up, will be held the last week of October, and they'll run through noon the 1st of November. And that's to replace the junior representatives that are sitting before you in this august group. And Bob, as an example of an action item, last month Doris Gazda brought up and the council tasked me to come up with a way of inviting the residents to participate and come forward, and if they're interested in being a representative up here, to contact their area representatives. And this week's Villager has an article that covers that. So Doris, I think we're closed out. Bob, that's an example of an action item. And I'll move ahead to something that Mary's going to address a little later, but I'll save her the trouble. All of you area reps, you owe me some answers by 10 October. One, how many ballots do you need for your particular area? And two, who are your nominations? Now, I've heard from some of the areas already on who who's going to go on the ballot and how many they want, but I'm still lacking quite a few. So, any questions from the council?
Yeah. Do you all understand what you need to be doing? Okay. Are there any questions then? Do we have any questions from our other residents? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Next, we have employee appreciation, Tom Poole.
Okay, am I too loud? All right, can you hear me? Okay, good, good. Hey, you can remember from last year, we talked about what retirees like about the term senior citizen? Do you remember the answer that came with that? It's a 10% discount, okay? It comes with the term senior citizen. And that brings happiness, joy, and gratitude, and that's the same values and the same themes that we have for the annual Employee Appreciation Gift Fund. You know, we all came here to Friendship Village rather than go to Westminster or Sagewood, have to wear a tie and sit with the same people, and because we have a different kind of an atmosphere here, that we get along a lot better, we know each other a lot better, and the same goes with the employees. The rapport between the employees and the people that live in the village is terrific. And when I came through, we all came through marketing. Jan Grubmeyer, my marketing rep, said to me, now we have an employee appreciation gift fund every year. And we don't have any tipping. It's the policy of Friendship Village that no gratuities are allowed in any way. And that people say oftentimes, how do we keep the employees with that? And the answer is that we have this aggregate employee gift fund every year where we have a chance to show the employees how we really feel about them and to show them what's in our heart. Because they work very hard, and they go beyond, above and beyond duty. Now, I'm going to talk next week at the village meeting, and I'll give a very different talk there. But this talk, I'll talk more about the whys, right? This is more about the hows, how we do the Employee Appreciation Gift Fund, because the committee, the Employee Appreciation Gift Fund Committee, is a standing committee of resident council. So we're reporting to council on how we're going to do it. And we met in July and in September to plan for this year's fund and to be able to put together the plan and the timetable and our plan of action for moving forward. We will start the program this year on October 1st. So it starts on Tuesday, October 1st, and it goes through Saturday, November 23rd. And in the last few years, resident occupancy has increased by approximately 63, 65 people. And so that means that there's more people to give gifts. On the other hand, with more occupancy, there's a need for more employees. And we have about 35, 40 more employees than we had a couple years ago. Last year, we raised $360,349 from the residents, and the goal for 2019, it was voted on by the committee, will be $360,000, which the committee hopes we will exceed and encourages you to exceed with the idea that we can do more for the employees this year than we did last year. And I want to, since it is council, I want to go over the 4 basic principles in which we conduct the gift fund with. 1, all employees are included in the fund. Every employee of Friendship Village is engaged in providing hospitality. Salaried Friendship Village employees as well as hourly employees are included in the gift fund. And some people ask me what that is. Salaried employees are people who work overtime and don't get paid for it. And hourly employees are people who work overtime and do get paid for it. And because all staff are included, and because the resident gifts are not tax deductible, the annual employee check is a gift for the employee and is not a bonus or a tip or a foundation grant. If the salaried employees were not included in the gift fund, then we would not meet the criteria for including all employees in order to make a gift. And hourly employees would need to pay taxes on what would become a taxable bonus. And right now, it's a gift, it's a non-taxable gift, so that the hourly employees get the full amount. The amount that we give, all the money is divided, and it all goes to the employees, and that's good. A second principle that we have is that resident giving is voluntary and confidential. Resident giving and level of resident giving is voluntary and confidential. Participation is determined by whether you think you can participate and at what level you think that you can participate. To ensure confidentiality, a resident member of the committee is the only person who handles all gifts. And once a week, that person deposits all checks. No records or lists by resident donor names are created. So people come to me and say, gee, did you get my gift? I don't know. I'm not the person that puts it in. I don't know whether your gift came or anybody's gift came in other than my own. So there's no list, there's no records by name. The third principle is for purposes of the Employee Appreciation Gift Fund, all employees are gifted at the same hourly rate, regardless of rank or tenure. Taking the total amount contributed by all the residents and dividing it by the total numbers of hours worked by all employees, limited to 40 hours per week for each employee, equals the hourly rate. And the fourth principle is that each employee's annual Employee Appreciation Gift Fund check is determined by the number of hours each employee works during the year, limited to 40 hours a week, times the gift fund hourly rate. So employees who work 20 hours a week are not going to get as much as people who work 40 hours a week, okay? Accordingly, and most of our employees are 40-hour-a-week employees. Most are full-time, 40-hour-a-week employees. And accordingly, because of that, the CEO, who works a lot of overtime, receives the same size gift from the gift fund as a groundskeeper, kitchen worker, housekeeper, or server working the standard 40-hour per week for a full year. So those are our four basic principles. We also have some other corollaries to those principles that I'd like to explain and go over. And we discussed at our two meetings. Corollary one is that resident gifts to the Employee Appreciation Gift Fund are not tax deductible for the residents, nor are they a taxable event for an employee. Like a personal gift that you might give to a grandchild, you know, you give a grandchild, here's $500, buy books for school or buy clothes or whatever. It does not have a taxable consequence for that grandchild getting that gift. And the same for the employees here, it doesn't have a taxable event for them. It's not a bonus or a tip for that foundation grant. Because all employees are included and resident gifts are not tax deductible, employee gift funds are not subject to withholding tax, such as federal and state income tax, Social Security tax, Medicare tax. Because there are no payroll taxes, the employee checks are larger than they would be if payroll taxes were deducted. And 100% of what the residents give go directly to the employees. Annual employee checks are provided by the Employee Appreciation Gift Fund. Check says on it, Employee Appreciation Gift Fund. It doesn't say Friendship Village. It comes from that one bank account where your gifts go in, and the only thing they go out for is to pay for the gifts to the employees. The checks are prepared by a resident member of the committee. And this is important too. It's not prepared by Friendship Village. We get information from them, how many hours people worked and what the hourly rate would be for the gift fund. But the actual checks are made out by a member of the committee. and they're signed by another member of the committee who's a treasurer. Second corollary is that the gift fund committee also reaffirmed its decision to include the gift giving, the 2 full-time on-site employees from Life Services. And this year, there's going to be 3. There's a intern who is here and will be here for part of what is our year, our gifting year. So there'll be 3 this year, but that won't be a recurring. It's only once in a while that there's this intern that comes. And 3 full-time on-site employees from our food service company, Morrison. Regardless of what you may have heard to the contrary, Morrison or Life Care Services have never given their employees a bonus at Christmas time or at any other time of the year. However, this is not a bonus. This is a gift. And we make this very clear. The Gift Fund Committee makes this very clear. We want to give these people a gift. They work long hours. They listen to the residents. They actually do what the residents ask. They're involved in providing hospitality, and we think they provide outstanding hospitality. Earlier this year, a few of the residents said they were not going to give, this is a new one this year, to the Employee Appreciation Gift Fund if they got another Dear Fellow resident letter this year. And they said the reason was because Luis always puts names and addresses on his bills, and that Friendship Village has the software to do this, and the gift fund letter is on the village computers in the office. Well, this shows a little bit of confusion here. Luis is paid staff. He has paid staff to help him. People on the gift fund are all residents and volunteers. What you get from Luis is a bill. What we're asking for here is a voluntary gift, which you can choose to make or not make. And they don't have the letters on the computers in the office in Friendship Village Administration. They're on my computer. And I write them. They're on my computer. They don't have that. So, resident council has limits, term limits. I can only be on this committee 5 years, and if they choose to ask me to do it next year, 2020 would be my last year. But if anyone in the village thinks that they have better secretarial skills than I do, please tell me, and 2019 can be my last year of doing this, and I'd be happy to arrange for them to move forward with it. And the final corollary is this, is that every year some people are waiting until near the end of their year to make gifts, and that's just fine. Some people do at the beginning of the year to help us get a good start. Some wait to the end of the year. Last year we thought that a few people were holding back on their gifts. This is just a few people, waiting to see if we needed their gift to reach the goal. And the gift committee has asked me to say that they would like to go over the goal this year and ask that everyone make their gift, regardless of whether you think you are needed to reach the goal, so that we can say that the gift fund gifts come from all of us. And we hope that no one would wait and, gee, if you need my gift, I'll make it, but if you don't, I won't make it. That everybody would give. There's just a couple dates to remember. Tomorrow, Saturday the 28th, we will put out new resident letters. It won't have any gift envelopes in them, but we have a 4-page question and answer sheet and orientation for new residents. A new resident is anyone who moved in from late September 2018 until the last welcome committee or this month. So they'll all be getting that, and they'll be getting that tomorrow. And then on October the 1st, Tuesday, all residents, including the new residents, will get a letter, and will get a gift fund envelope, which will explain how to make a gift, and we'll have the box out again starting on October the 1st, the gift box. near the entrance to the buffet. And again, we make the checks payable to the FVT, as in Friendship Village Tempe, Employee Appreciation Gift Fund, and it's right on the box. You can see that box, and it tells you exactly how the check should be made out. Remember that when we'll cover this more next week at the village meeting, but this is the way that we show our appreciation and for the dedication the employees give us for our comfort and pleasure throughout the year. Let's make this year's gift fund the best one ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I think you've covered it all, but are there some questions? Bob has a question. Tom, over this one.
Is it okay to know what a 40-hour check looked like last year?
Yes, it is. You know, when I took over this committee, the president, the chairman the year before passed away about 6 weeks after I took over. And so I didn't have time really to get briefed the first year I did it. And I just found out last year I'm supposed to tell this every year. And I'm supposed to tell this at the, when we give out the checks at the check ceremony. It was $910 last year, and it was $870 to $880 the year before. That's 40-hour full-time employee.
This is somebody who's worked all year at 40 hours, right?
40 hours, right.
Okay. Are there any other questions? We have one out here. Ed?
It would be helpful for new residents if you would give an estimate of the average contribution by residents.
Yes, I agree.
We do in our question and answer sheet, we do have information on things that we don't, on giving.
But I've had people ask me every year, you know, some estimate of that. So apparently people don't see that.
What? Yeah.
Not everyone sees that.
Not everyone sees that. Only the new resident sees that because they didn't do that when people moved in years ago.
I've had new residents ask me that. Recently.
We're going to give it to them tomorrow when we hand out that letter. It will explain in great detail how you might consider that, okay? And what they might do.
Jay, you have a question?
Tom, that's an excellent overview. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to ask a question to the council. Traditionally, the council gives something from the treasury for the Employee Appreciation Gift Fund. You don't necessarily have to do it today, but I'd like you to think about it. That's all.
Yeah, I think that we would consider that in our October meeting. Marty?
Not a question, but a comment, Tom. It was 910, is that what you said?
Per employee, yes.
Wow, it's awful, 1,000 would be a magic number. I really would.
Yes, it would.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Tom. That was very thorough. Thank you. Okay, now we're ready for Health Services Committee, and Doris is going to give that report for Richard. Don't forget to pull the thing down, Doris.
I will try to speak slowly and distinctly. I have a particularly hard time understanding from this. This is a report from Richard Brown, the chairman. Louise is the secretary of the committee. The Health Services Advisory Committee did not meet in June, July, and August. However, it did sponsor an admission and accounting forum in August. Healthcare staff presented the ins and outs of admission to the healthcare center and what to expect in regard to added expenses and Medicare, life care, and insurance coverage. There were 51 residents in attendance at the 5 one-hour sessions. The sessions are limited to 15, so there is time for questions and answers. 4 forums are presented each year. Another admission and accounting forum is scheduled for Tuesday, November 5th in the Rec Center classroom. There will be a Nunnenkamp tour on the 5th, on November 5th, which is a Tuesday. I believe that is for the committee to have the Nunnenkamp tour. I'm not sure. Is it for the whole
Oh,
village
it's
to
for
have the
everyone?
tour?
Okay.
The Health Services Committee was involved in the planning stages of the acquisition of new beds for the health care center. Shipment of new beds continues on schedule, with 3 West expected to be completed by the end of 2019. Thank you to the foundation and the gift shop for the donations of funds to make this possible. A work in progress is to provide companionship or relief to residents with severe dementia and to their families. At present, 5 residents have volunteered to participate. Hospice of the Valley has a music program for nonverbal patients that we plan to investigate. I don't know that I can answer any questions, but are there any?
Are there any questions from the council? From our residents? Other residents, I should say. Thank you, Doris. And I believe our final committee report is from our Welcome Committee. Are you out? You are there, Ron. Thank you. Ron News.
Okay. Our Welcome Committee has been active hosting new residents, providing publicity for the Welcome Coffee, examining new resident packets for quality and content, updating as necessary, and preparing the decorations and program for the Welcome Coffee. The September 2019 Welcome Coffee introduced 13 new residents to the community. They were Percy Hildebrand, Carol and Richard Setterstrom, David Carson, Linda Cooper and Norman Taylor, Fran Warner, Lois Schneeberger, Juanita and James Goodlow, Sheila and James Boggs, and Jean Olson. The Carefree Climbers of Friendship Village of Tempe, led by Velma Fenner, Diana Sanderson, and Betty Miller, presented their program about our resident hikers and encouraged everyone able to join them in their hikes. The next Welcome Coffee will be held on October 17th, and residents Pam Gaynor and Mike Ivanich will present, quote, "And now for something different." And I'm sure it's going to be something different. You'll need to see it. Any questions?
Are there any questions from the council, from our other residents? Thank you, Ron. I believe that's all the reports we have today. Am I right? Okay. As far as I know, we have no other business. I do want to remind you, council members, to take care of elections, to follow the order, and be sure that that happens the way it is supposed to be happening. If you have questions, I'm sure Jay would be glad to answer them. You have a question, Doris?
This is not a question. This is just a reminder that we on this, the resident council, are supposed to get in touch with people who do not have pictures in the picture directory. In other words, get in touch with the people in your area and make sure that they go down to get their pictures taken.
Thank you. That was going to be my next announcement, but thank you. Yes, be sure pictures, and they're being taken I wrote it down somewhere, I think the 19th of October, but it's in the Villager this week, about pictures, and it tells us when they're being taken. So, is there any other business? Then I do believe we've come to the end. I do have a little quote that I'd like to end the meeting with from Ellen DeGeneres. My point is, life is about balance. The good and the bad, the highs and the lows, the piñata, the piña and colada. I've goofed it up, piña and colada. Thank you. Goodbye. Oh, that's okay. I'm sorry. Sorry about? You don't need to be sorry. Well, that wasn't. Okay, so what can I do? What can I do?